Hello there, my name is Ismaus, and today we're going to be making some pie in Blender 2.8. So this is what these are the results of what we are going to be producing today. Some of the renders. I rendered this in cycles because I wanted to render the glass, which is very hard to do in Eevee. But yeah, you can achieve the same results using Eevee, except the glass will not look as nice. Yeah, so let's dive in and see how to make this. So yeah, this is just going to be an overview of the entire project, but you can watch the time lapse from start to finish, where I show everything I did in on my second channel, Blender Money. So you can go there, subscribe as well. So let's break down the project and see how we can achieve do this. Yeah, so the textures here are all procedural. I didn't use any image textures except maybe for the cloth, which I think came out really nicely. The cloth here, but anything else is just procedural texturing. So we can start with breaking down how this texturing was done. Let me just start by isolating. Let me get something like this torus here, just to show you how I created this texture. So if you break down any texture that you can find, any procedure texture, actually any texture that you can find, it's usually broken down in different phases. So for example, if you look at this pie here, it's made up of noise, of a noise texture, larger noise. You can see and identify larger samples of noise, or scaled up noise. Let me show you what I mean here. So if we add a noise texture, for example here, it's a bit stretching here because of the UV, so I'm just going to change to object coordinate mapping so that it's not stretching. Like this, you can see that we can try duplicating this or recreating this kind of texturing using noise. And the way you can approach this, you can layer different noise sizes to get the details you are looking for, because if you look closely, you'll see that we have these larger samples, or that can be replicated by larger samples of noise, and then instead of that we have these really tiny ones. We also have these medium patches around, so you can layer different noises to achieve this. So for example, if I was creating this, we can start with a larger scale noises, something like this. Now let me just add a math node here, the power, to kind of give it some contrast, something like that. You can see we are getting the results there. Maybe this is a bit too large, this is a bit too contrasted as well, so something like that. And then you would duplicate this noise, shift D, and scale it down to get the medium noise and blend the two. So I'll just select this and this, hold on shift, control shift, and then drag, left drag to mix the two. Using I want the larger noise to be at the bottom and the smaller noise, the medium noise, to be at the top. So I can use, you can either use mix or multiply. It's all going to give you the same result. So you can see this is the larger noise, this is actually, we're going to use multiply because mix is just overpowering the lower noise, so the larger noise. So if we blend this, you can see now we are adding detail to our noise, to our texture. And then there is this almost flake like noise. So for that we can also just use the same thing, duplicate, and then scale this even further so that we have that kind of noise. And then just add a color ramp to add in those kind of flake like materials, and then we can blend the two as well using multiply. Let's use multiply. Now you don't want that noise to overpower everything else. This is supposed to be up here, above. Now you can see how, yeah, we're getting something that looks like that, except that it's still in black and white, so we can start colorizing this. Now there are different ways you can colorize this. You can just colorize the entire noise at once, or you can go back to each of the individual noises and start giving them some bit of color. So you can start with this and sample different areas and start just select these. And maybe change this from multiply to overlay. Right now we are colorizing the medium noise, which I think is a more pale or white. So that's what I'm going to try and achieve here. Again, you can always come back to the noise and play with it. Then these other ones are the small flecks. We can just use this as a mask instead of just use mix here, because I just want to colorize. I think they're still a bit large, so I'm just going to cut them. Now you can fit that into the base color. Make sure this is recording, and then the rest you can just have this as a roughness and also as the bump. Just give it a moment to compile. So basically that's how I did this, but I used more than 3 layers to make the noise. So I blended a few things and let's reduce. You can always come back, change the colors a bit. And, reduce the size of the noise. Adding more noise. The roughness here, you can just add a math node to reduce the reflectiveness or the roughness. Basically that's what I did for the texturing, for the procedures texturing. I'm just going to break down for you the original version, because this is going to be slow a bit. So let me first get rid of this. And you can watch the time lapse to see how I made this. You can see it's the same procedure, and you can see the different noises I used here. So let me go to cycles because it's a bit faster, and see the larger noise, and then I blend it with this I think, yeah, this medium noise already colorized, then this smaller noise and really small noise. Blend them to get this. But we also have these cubes here. I'm not sure what they are, but to do that I just use a Voronoi texture. Got it through, I passed it through a power node, math node, and then use the color ramp to make to cut out the contrast so that I remain only with those flecks, and I use that with as a mix shader for another shade I created here. Other factor for the mix shader to mix those specks with this. So I don't know if you can see them here. I think they're more visible on this here, on this part here. So yeah, that's it for the texturing. The wave here, you can see the time lapse again. It is much easier to do to watch the time lapse to see what I did here, because if I tried to explain how I made this, it would take a lot of time. But basically what I did is use the array, just created a simple wave and use an array, yeah, to make it like this. And then let me just show you how these look. You can see I just made them this pattern. If you're using the array, they will come up as a square, not a circle like this. But then I used a cylinder to cut out, to boolean cut out the corners so that it's rounded. You can watch the time lapse to see that. Everything else is very simple. The jam, or I think whatever the insides of the pie, I think different countries call it differently. So so that was also, I used the same process, except this time I used the noise. But to get that kind of wavy like texture, I just increased the distortion, and I used that as the normal map to get that. Let me talk about the cloth a bit here. Well, I think it also came out really nicely. So the way I made the wrinkles there, just added a plane, subdivided it, and then added a multi-resolution modifier. Where is that? Multi-resolution. Simple, subdivide a few times, and then sculpted it using the new cloth brush, which I think is okay, here. Just drag. Okay, why is it not working? Yeah, then you just drag. I'm not sure why it wasn't working the first time, but yeah, just drag different patches, different areas to make the wrinkles the way you want them. You would need more subdivisions, but basically that's how I made those wrinkles. And to add even smaller details, what I did is I found this sand texture and used that as a bump map to add in very, very small details. I don't know if you can see them here, but they add in some smaller scale wrinkles that I think tie everything together. You can see how that looks. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.